Entrepreneurs aren't born, they are made through failures, breakthroughs, and relentless hustle. Welcome to the Empowered Entrepreneur TV show. This is your host Rohit Soni, airing across 185 countries, 26 plus TV networks, 100 plus podcast stations. This is where visionaries share their unfiltered journeys, strategies, and game changing insights. Your success story starts here. This is more than just a show, it's a movement. Watch, learn, and elevate. So, hello everyone, welcome back to the Empower Entrepreneur TV show. This is your host Rohit Soni, and today we're going to talk about one of the most important topics in business and in life, that is emotions. Sometimes, as human beings, we get our emotions to get the better of us. Sometimes in business as well, that happens. But it's at the end of the day, you understand that emotions need to be your power, not your struggle. Emotions need to be your biggest asset, not a liability. For business owners, if we see all around the world, what happens is they have all the strategies, they have all the mindset, but still the lacking thing that holds them back is sometimes getting frustrated, not getting the best out of the team, not having the right culture, making rash decisions. These things actually hold a lot of business guys, entrepreneurs, CEOs. These things hold them back. And emotional intelligence is the silent game changer in leadership and business. It's not just about being smart or strategic, it's about mastering your emotions and understanding others and leading with awareness and empathy. Where pressure is constant and competition is fierce, EQ is what separates good leaders from great ones. It's the ability to navigate challenges with composure, foster meaningful relationships, and inspiring trust. So, today we have an amazing guest, Chris Salem, a business strategist, a leadership coach, and best-selling author who has dedicated his career to helping leaders unlock their power of EQ to drive business success. So, Chris, welcome to the show. I would love to learn, understand, and elevate our game on the Empower Entrepreneur TV show about EQ, leadership, and mindset today. How are you?
Yeah, Marie, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes. So, Chris, I would love to, not just take insights from you, but actually, learn a lot because it's all about learning, it's all about elevating. So, what sparked your passion for emotional intelligence? I've been working with you for over a year now.
Yeah.
So what was that moment that said, okay, I'm going to work on this thing? And was there a, defining moment that led you to this field?
Well, yeah, it actually is a personal experience that I went through many years ago, about almost 26 years ago. And at the time prior to that, I had been reacting from my emotions. I lived every day from a negative emotion that we all are very well known, and many people operate from each day, and that's anger. So I operated from anger each and every day, and I reacted from it. I led from it. I managed from it. I operated from it in every aspect of my life in business, only to just, in this case, disengage with people, never build solid relationships, and even with customers while I was a producer, oftentimes would even sabotage those relationships due to my anger and not able to control and react from it. I had a life changing experience back in December of 1999. And it was during that time that my father, prior to that, had been diagnosed with a stage 3B lung cancer. And they escalated to stage 4 very quickly in a matter of weeks. And they had given my father a year and a half to live. Now, a little backstory about that. Growing up, my father was usually never around. He was busy traveling. Was his quest was to build a multi-million dollar business. He grew up poor, and he was never around. And as a result of it, when I was growing up, all those milestones that young boys go through, wanting their dad to be in the crowd, Every time I would look, he wasn't there. So, being a kid, you didn't understand that. And just thinking that, hey, my father was busy or just didn't want to be present in my life or my brother. Lo and behold, in the last 2 years of my father's life, he made that attempt to be that father that he wasn't when I was growing up. Now, the damage had been done at that point, and obviously I had been dealing with the repercussions of those self-limiting beliefs that I had operated from, this strong need for validation that I was always seeking out in other people because I didn't get it from my father. Now, of course, I didn't know that at the time. I just knew that I was always looking to be in the limelight, always looking to be recognized for my efforts, to be applauded for the great things that I did for others. But with that being said, when my dad was about a day and a half, or actually it was a day before he died, I had a life-changing moment with him. I was in the room with him by myself, and I remember him looking over at me, and his eyes were half shut. He couldn't speak, couldn't talk. He was on morphine. They were just winding his body down at that point. But he was communicating to me. I still to this day, I can't explain how. I just know that I could hear what he was saying, just not in words. Now, some people might say, yeah, right, whatever. But nonetheless, I know it was real. And what my father was sharing with me is to let me know that he did love me. He did love my brother, even my mother, who he had been divorced from for about maybe 12 years up to that point. And what he said was that I tried to be the best father I could for what I knew. I didn't know, I just didn't know how to be the father that you wanted me to be. But I wanted to let you know that I do love you. Now, that really hit home because I began to think about all these things that used to be said about, my father not liking my grandfather. They never got along either. My grandfather didn't treat my father very well. So my father was just a product of how he grew up. So a lot of times people, just do these same things over. They repeat what they know. He didn't know how to be the father I would like him to be because he didn't have it himself. And that really struck a chord with me, not to say to justify what happened was okay. It was to say that, oh my God, I got to stop being the victim in my life. I got to stop pointing the finger at everybody else. I got to stop deflecting how I feel onto others, and I got to stop blaming everybody else in the world for where I wanted to be, but I wasn't at that time. So it was an eye-opening moment that I had to take control of my life and my career because no one else was willing to do it. I had to do it. And so I consider my father that he gave me the greatest gift that I can ever imagine and made up for all those years in that moment. He did pass the day after, but it was from that time out that I embarked on a journey to overcome my own self-limiting beliefs. I founded, in this case, what EQ was about, and embarked on a journey of incorporating emotional intelligence and mindfulness into my life, and then eventually into my career in business. And I've immersed myself every day, engaged in habits and activities that continue to enhance my EQ. And because of that dedication and consistency, today I've dedicated my life and my career to helping other leaders and high performers do the same to create not only better KPIs to execute on those goals in their business, but also to elevate and build winning teams, winning organizations to do the same.
And I agree with the part where you say experiences move us, experiences change us, experiences take us to that absolute next level. And in your case, it was your father's experience. In my case, it was something else. But it's all about tweaking and learning from those experiences and not just elevating ourselves, but elevating people who are around us. So I would love to dive deeper into this emotional intelligence secret parts, but we got to run into a quick break, guys. And coming up next, when we'll come back after this quick break, Chris will break down how emotional intelligence is a secret weapon for leadership and business success. Stay tuned. We're going to come back in a minute.
As a coach or a consultant, your focus should be on transforming lives, not struggling to get clients. That's where my company Amplify Media comes in to help you not just scale your business, but to consistently give you the revenue that your business deserves. We actually build a done for you lead generation acquisition system that brings in clients consistently so that you don't have to worry about where the next client is coming in. You focus on the most important thing is scaling your business and impacting your own coaching clients. From high impact marketing and scroll stopping content to expert funnel creation, we take your business from point A to point B with precision. Coaches and consultants worldwide trust the company. We have over 277 plus clients, case studies all around the world, help tons and tons of businesses scale. So, your next level is waiting. Let's make your brand unforgettable and visit the website today. I would love to offer you a free strategy session to share with you how we can help scale your business. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Empower Entrepreneur TV show. This is your host, Rohit Soni, and we're here with Chris Salem, an expert in emotional intelligence and leadership. And like we discussed with before the break, let's talk about EQ. That it's just isn't a soft skill; it's a business superpower, according to me. What's your take on that?
Well, it is a superpower, and the reason why is when you can understand your own emotions, knowing that negative emotions are not a bad thing. We've been taught to believe that having a negative emotion is actually not a big thing. It's actually a great thing. Reason why, all it is just a message internally to let you know there is something, a situation, or maybe a person or a group of people that you're having something is unresolved that has to be resolved. That's all it is. And what understanding those emotions is also about is understanding that emotions come and go. And we have the ability to control our emotions and learning that we don't have to react from them. We can learn to now respond from them. But when you can better understand your own emotions, both on a positive and negative level, you can then understand what are some of the things that have been getting in your way. I know through emotional intelligence, I had the ability to get to the root cause of my disappointment, my frustration, my anger, how I was interacting with people and how I had strained relationships, both professionally and person. And that was because of those self-limiting beliefs of that strong need for validation, that when it was not filled, I would react from it. And then usually in a case that would push people away. When I got to the root cause of it and I was able to let it go over time, as I continued to develop my emotional intelligence, I learned some things. But first, before we cover that, you should know what the pillars of emotional intelligence are. Now, some people will say there's 5 pillars. Some will say there is 4. It really does not matter. You can, whatever. They're all going to be very similar. But I'll share from in this case, from my point of view, is that you have to have self-awareness. Because without self-awareness, we can't start where we are and where we want to go in terms of elevating our EQ. We can't understand somebody else or a group of people or a situation in a different way if we don't understand ourselves. And when we can understand ourselves and others, we can learn to regulate our emotions, knowing how to deal with a negative emotion, yet not react from it, but respond. And then it's through empathy, not pleasing and enabling, we can learn to be the example and be resourceful to empower and encourage others to do things that will elevate themselves. And it's through that we build better relationships with ourselves and other people, and that we grow from it. So those are the 4 pillars of emotional intelligence. Now, with that being said, another aspect of it is learning to control what you can control and letting go of what you can't control. And I'll just make it very simple. There are 2 things that you can't control each and every day. That's other people and situations. That's it. And you could throw 100 or 1,000 things that fall in or that associate with people and situations into those same 2 buckets. There are things you can't control, and there are 5 things. The communication with yourself and others. Are you communicating from your inner critic or your inner champion? I operated from my inner critic for the first 31 years of my life. Now, even though I could put the mask on and I could hide it and I can come across that I had my act together, well, guess what? The communication came out to other people in a passive and an aggressive way. And when I was passive, I was a yes person. I would go out of my way to please and enable you because I was seeking your validation. And when I didn't get it, then the aggressive side would come out. And then I could talk down to people. I would then maybe deflect how I felt onto them. I would accuse them of not following through and making them not feel welcome. But see, we can control that. I can learn to be assertive in my communication, specific, clear, and concise with myself, and then with others. The major issue with any relationship between a spouse, family, a community, a country's business is that communication is based on assumptions and speculation. But when you can learn to be assertive, specific, clear, and concise as the sender and the receiver, because you can't control other people, you're responsible for that. And I can ask further clarifying questions, make sure somebody understood what I shared or what they shared. You can reduce or eliminate those assumptions and speculations. Less expectations are now not going to fall through the cracks. And now you're bringing people together that feel related to and heard, understood. You can control that. You can control your behavior. It's in alignment with your communication. Many times people's behavior contradicts their communication. Is it assertive versus passive aggressive? Third is your attitude. It's happening for you, not to you. I used to live the first 31 years of my life. It was happening to me because I was the victim. I used excuses. I deflected. When it's happening for you, I see challenges, problems, obstacles as a good thing. Because without them, we can't learn to turn them into opportunities and then into results. Nothing good or worth feeling good about or accomplishing comes from anything that just goes right. It's when things are not going right during a certain period of time. Then our emotions we can control, learning to respond versus react. If I'm angry, it's okay. I can take a breath. I can maybe remove myself for 10 minutes. Maybe I have to sleep on it before I respond by email or face-to-face or to a group of people. And then finally, my action. Not getting caught up in things that are keeping me busy but not productive, or things that are not relevant to what's the most important priorities, but focusing on what are the most important priorities, breaking them down into systems and activities to execute on, measuring to see what works, and then delegating anything that can be delegated. Those are the things that I control. And I ask myself that every day, and then I let go of those same 5 goals of other people in a situation.
So, Chris, one of the things that you just talked about is emotions have superpower, right? If you use it the right way, you can scale an organization. If it doesn't, nothing's going to work out in any organization. So, according to you, how can organization use it as a superpower? Employees can use it as a superpower, and most importantly, how it can help build high performing teams. So, what's your take on that? Because I feel that when you use it the right way and we use the pillars that you have, it can actually create a very good, effective work environment, amazing skill sets along the people, elevate them to the next level. But I just want to know how it can actually build highly effective teams and high performing teams and create an amazing company.
Well, when it comes down to any successful business, it's always going to be with people. You know, a lot of people will say that AI is going to take over and eliminate people in a lot of jobs. I don't believe that. I think it's only going to enhance what people are doing. Yes, it might remove people from certain mundane tasks with jobs they used to handle. Yet, it's going to now free up time to do other things. It's going to be those organizations that, when they find a way to blend the technology with people and leverage their strengths, offset their weaknesses, that are going to sustain, increase their customer experience, and grow their business. That all comes down to communication. When you can communicate effectively to yourself, starting with you, and knowing how to now effectively communicate, starting with active listening, asking more questions, chunking your statements, pausing, then asking a question, doing your best to reduce any assumptions and speculation, learning to operate from intentions rather than expectations. Because you can control intentions, you can't control expectations. When we can shift that way of thinking through EQ and mindfulness, starting with you, the leader, regardless of title, when we can empower other people through empathy and kindness rather than pleasing and enabling that keeps people stagnant and stuck, and now invite people in, more people are going to speak up when they don't understand something than rather than not say something because they're afraid that you might see them as incompetent. But if we're going to become innovative and creative and grow any business, it's going to require people to feel psychologically safe with their leader to now know when to ask for help, to tap into resources that will help to leverage and enhance their strengths, and then finding tools, resources, or other people to offset their weaknesses. It's those organizations that are communicating one-to-one, one-to-many, and or in this case, one-to-few and one-to-many, that are going to build better engagement, higher retention. They're going to increase the customer experience, and that's going to allow you to grow your business and raise your business valuation. And those organizations that, in my mind, that do that already are companies like Zappos that have been doing it from day one. Thank God Amazon never disrupted their model. And yet, they're in the top 5 for customer service each and every year and report healthy profit margins in their business. So it starts with you. It's contagious. Your example and your resourcefulness eventually will spill on to others. Doesn't mean everyone's going to get it, but hey, it's like baseball. You're never going to bat 1,000, but if you're batting 200 and now you're batting 350, well, guess what? You're making progress. And it's about progress to grow a business, sustain it, rather than perfect.
Well, I don't understand baseball that much, but I do understand cricket. So if you're batting and if you're not hitting sixes and fours, even if you're taking singles in between when rotating the strike, that's what matters, right? These Indian contingents, because they mostly don't know baseball. But going back to the topic, many leaders, Chris, I see prioritize strategy over emotions. They say it's all about business for personal emotions. So they prioritize strategy over emotions. So why do you believe EQ should be as important, if not more, than traditional leadership skills? What's your take on that?
Well, I just feel that, traditional leadership skills put too much emphasis on expectations into the control they can't control rather than intentions to what they can control. That's what EQ is about. Another thing is that traditional leadership focuses on managing people. We can't manage people. Again, you can't control people. So why try to manage them? It's always a losing battle. We as leaders, we're here to manage processes, systems, activities, KPIs, things that are going to move the business forward. It's you about leading by example that empowers people to lead themselves. I feel that the next wave of successful leadership in the modern world of leadership is going to be mentoring. Be the example. And the mentoring doesn't mean you have to be older than someone to mentor them. There could be people that are half your age that could be mentoring you because they have a skill set or have had experiences that you haven't that can help elevate you and what you're doing in your role in years. So mentoring is all about not telling people what to do, why to do, when to do it, and how to do it. It's being resourceful, allowing them to do for themselves, empowering them to come out of their comfort zone to do things that are going to improve themselves. Because you're modeling that same communication, same behavior, same attitude, emotions, and how you respond versus react, and your consistent action to the priorities that matter. Just like a children observe what their parents do each and every day, whether they know it subconsciously or not, they become a byproduct of the good and bad things they've learned from their parents. We learn from each other as well. We don't even realize we're doing it. So emotional intelligence, when it is rooted at the foundation level in any size organization, starting from the top down, it can have a ripple effect in a positive way. Companies like Zappos that have demonstrated that. Not saying they're perfect, because nothing is perfect, but they've made significant progress, and the numbers don't lie in what they do each and every year in the customer service area. In this case, I like to call it customer experience. It's a process, really. It does not happen overnight. And too many companies and organizations are looking for quick fixes. They want results overnight. And the reality is it does not exist. But it's those that commit to the process that will reap the dividends of those efforts from that consistency over time. It requires discipline, consistency, and commitment.
So, Chris, we just dive deep to the emotional and the leadership part. So, I just want to take it one more step. According to you, what's the biggest mistake leaders make when trying to create a psychological, safe workplace? Because they feel that they have everything in place to create a safe working place, yet a lot more employees don't feel that way. They feel, well, if I'm not going to perform, maybe I'm going to get fired. How can you take away that fear and manage those expectations? Because you just touched up on a point 3 minutes ago. Kind instead of just managing people, you should set KPIs, should set expectations. You should lead by example. So, how do you tackle that?
Well, again, it's just a lot of organization. It's just a lack of awareness. They think they're aware and they might say all the right things. They might check off with some boxes to say, hey, we've done that. Hey, look at the values that we operate from on our wall over here. But in reality, they don't operate at all from those values. So a lot of times it's just learned experience, learned behavior, things that, people every day just operate from what they know each and every day, not realizing that what they're doing is getting in their own way and also impacting other people in a negative way that impact them. And now imagine other people doing the same thing. So you just got a lot of people coming in and like you're in a pinball machine and you're all just bouncing off bumpers and each other and not knowing that each and every one of you are doing are not helping you personally or each other. So it really has to start with now getting clarity, more awareness, and now understanding that this is a process. And if it's going to work in any size organization, you got to do it in over a duration of time with small groups of people. Trying to do everything with everybody all at once is just setting yourself up for failure. It's like trying to go to the gym and get fit and lose a certain amount of weight. And you try to do all of those things at once. It's why a lot of New Year's resolutions fall through the cracks because we're trying to do everything at once because you're tied to the expectation of the outcome. So your mind is in the past and the future and it's operating from fear. And then when fear becomes too great, we resist it, we avoid it. We then gravitate towards the same habits that got us there in the first place that don't serve us. So we have to learn how to be intentional, present, where fear is reduced. And this is something that has to start at the leadership level, at the top down. And I've shown that at its work because I've worked with a select few organizations where they committed from the top down, where they saw tremendous results over a 2-year period reflected in the KPIs.
Coming back to the part of KPIs, coming back to the part of leadership, coming back to the part of elevating organizations together through the right EQ. At this point, I understand that it's all about understanding human behavior and leading them, guiding them, holding them accountable. Yes, I believe holding them accountable is very important just so that you can run an effective organization. But it's more about sometimes managing people's expectations, like you said. So we got to run into a quick break, guys, right now. But when we'll come back, this will reveal how EQ enhances decision making, communication, and client relationships. So you don't want to miss it out. So I'll see you right back after this break.
As a coach or a consultant, your focus should be on transforming lives, not struggling to get clients. That's where my company Amplify Media comes in to help you not just scale your business, but to consistently give you the revenue that your business deserves. We actually build a done-for-you lead generation acquisition system that brings in clients consistently so that you don't have to worry about where the next client is coming in. You focus on the most important thing that is scaling your business and impacting your own coaching clients. From high-impact marketing and scroll-stopping content to expert funnel creation, we take your business from point A to point B with precision. Coaches and consultants worldwide trust the company. We have over 277 plus clients, case studies all around the world, help tons and tons of businesses scale. So, your next level is waiting. Let's make your brand unforgettable and visit the website today. I would love to offer you a free strategy session to share with you how we can help scale your business. Thank you.
So, guys, welcome back to the Empower Entrepreneur TV show. This is your host, Rohit Soni, and we're here with Chris Salem. Success isn't just about what you know, it's about how you connect, communicate, and make decisions under pressure. So, as we discussed with Chris before the break, we're going to dive deeper now into how we can communicate, connect, and make better decisions through EQ. So, Chris, like we discussed before the break, you emphasize the role of self-awareness and communication. How can, according to you, leaders improve their emotional intelligence to communicate more effectively with teams and clients?
Well, at first, again, it's got to start with the leader first, right? You can't give what you don't have. You can't share what you don't know. And if you're trying to share something you don't know, that's exactly what you're going to share. You're going to share, just half of what could be, but really, you're missing the other half. So you have to fill your cup. So again, going back, it starts with the awareness, understanding that EQ is the foundation to anything successful. And then it's got to reflect in your communication, because it's through communication that we connect with people. And it's not just the words you're saying. Matter of fact, when people ask me, when I ask them the question, what do you feel like words represent? What percentage of effective communication? A lot of times they will say it represents probably the highest percentage of effective communication, and yet it's the least. It's really in the body. It's your body language. How I'm using my hands. My body is open to you. I'm making eye contact with you. That connects with people. That builds rapport. It builds trust. And when people feel related to and understood, because you've given, your body language welcomes them in, they're more likely to be more open. Maybe they may share that they don't understand something where they used to fear that you might see them as incompetent or fire them. And when you have rapport and trust, you then generate respect. And it's through those relationships, as they're elevated, that now we can do bigger and better things. So emotional intelligence starts with awareness, self-awareness, knowing how to regulate those emotions for yourself, knowing how to now operate from empathy, not pleasing and enabling. It's sharing, not telling people what to do. I oftentimes use questions to get across the impact that I'm looking to get across to people. So instead of saying, hey, you should be doing this, this, and this, when you say you, the first thing people are going to do is they're going to shut down. They're going to get defensive. That word you, I say this. I admire your work. It has come to my attention that there is an area that we have to make an improvement on, and this is the area. What can you and I do together to make this better? What are you willing to do from your end to get better at this? And this is what I'm committed to do to help you do this to get there. See, that's more likely to put somebody on the offense, not on the defense. And when people are on the defense, they're just going to go into survival mode to protect themselves. So EQ starts with you, learning to understand your emotions, knowing now how to communicate more assertively in a specific, clear, and concise way, knowing how to make sure your behavior is not contradicting that assertiveness. Attitude of gratitude, it's happening for you, not to you. Your emotions, knowing how to respond versus react, and taking massive action to the priorities that matter. Delegating what you can delegate, because it's those 5 things that you can control that people pick up on. And when now through your example and through your resourcefulness, if that empowers people to step up in their rolling boots, then guess what? That's going to be a game changer. And I'm a big fan of daily huddles. Huddles are not meetings where they last 30 minutes or an hour, where we're just going off on a tangent, talking about things that are not even related to any solutions. It's just always rehashing the problem. Huddles have an agenda. They're on tight schedules. And everybody has a chance to share for a minute or two, specifically what their rolling duties are for whatever we're trying to turn a challenge into an opportunity, and then an opportunity result. Now everybody's now being very specific, clear, and concise. very little to no room for assumption, speculation. People are operating from intentions, not expectations, only to what they can control. And then they meet later in the day for 10 minutes to debrief. What worked? What didn't? What do we have to adapt to? And what can we change? So again, this is what builds a winning team environment. But it's got to start with you. And I'll make one thing that I did not share earlier. We all have opinions. We all have perceptions. And there's nothing wrong with that. That being said, if we operate from those perceptions, judgments, biases, we have to recognize not everybody's going to see it the same way as you. So a great leader that leads by example and is resourceful, operating from emotional intelligence, sees things for what it is. He or she has the ability to adapt to what is, may not agree with it, may see it in a different light from their perception, yet will include other people and then decide based on the group what is best for the situation. And you still may not agree about it, but you still go through because that's what everybody decided to do. That's what builds a winning team environment. That's what's going to create a better customer experience long term. And that's what's going to give you the ability through more effective communication to reduce the number of touch points on your buyer's journey to generate new clients, to upsell and cross-sell clients. And it's because you're going to understand what that challenge is for your customers that could be better. And you're going to better understand what the results are that they're seeking and don't have. It's through that rapport, trust, and respect that will get business, retain it, and sustain it to the next level.
And I agree with the part where you say sometimes you gotta have the right conversations in there, right? And most importantly, it's how you handle hard conversations is gonna grow your organization, because hard conversation, Chris, no matter how cool, calm, and collected you are, it's gonna happen. But it's much better to
typical conversations. And
yeah. There's one thing that I learned. It's much better to say, hey, you're not doing this well, and say something like, hey, we can do better than this, because we expect and hold ourselves at a better standard. So the moment you say we instead of you, things get done.
yeah.
So now you're pointing it out, you're just including yourself. So that's what I think. That's what I usually do in my own organization, to say something, wait, I think this is something that we can improve on. And this is something I keep seeing you struggle. And what do you think I can do to make sure we don't struggle, and make sure by the end of this week or next week, we get some results out of it? So we do something like, instead of using you, we use that we pattern in human behavior. According to you,
or I like to use I. That's not selfish, because the I takes the pressure off the other person. And then when I now include what we have to make better to get these results, they're more likely to be on offense. And one thing too about emotional intelligence is an effective leader operating from EQ recognizes that every person is not like talking apples to apples. Like talking to you, how I communicate with you will be different than how I communicate to somebody else. Everybody's got maybe different personality types. You have people who are task-oriented, people-centric. Some like more detail with tasks. Some don't want to discuss the detail. They just want the results. Some people want to know who's involved first with people before they want to know how we're going to go about accomplishing a goal. There are different multi-generational types, more than ever now with Gen Z, which is a big issue now with a lot of organizations, how to communicate effectively to Gen Z or the younger millennials. Cultural and ethnic backgrounds. But through EQ, we have a better understanding, the ability to relate and understand, so we know how to adapt our communication to be more effective with different types of people. So this way, we're able to get more out of them to reflect in the KPIs, which will now elevate performance individually, as a team, and then as an organization. Now, is it the way I share it? Does it sound that, hey, this is really easy, that's all we have to do? No, this is a process, and it's not always going to work with everybody. But you got to trust the process, that knowing that if you keep moving the needle or moving the ball forward, then you're making progress. rather than staying stuck where you are or regressing.
And Chris, you hit the nail on coffin by saying getting stuck sometimes, because a lot of people, they're sometimes afraid to share their feelings. They're sometimes afraid to share how they actually feel about their bosses as well. But you don't want to be into that situation. You want to be comfortable sharing your opinions, and we want to have an organization that wants to grow, that wants to ask the right questions, that wants to actually take their work seriously. If so, how do you think if someone is taking their work seriously? Well, they're asking intelligent questions. Well, they're asking questions of what can be done better instead of nitpicking. So I completely agree with that part. But what role does emotional intelligence, according to you, play in client relationships, and how can businesses use the same process to build stronger personal loyalty within the teams and clients?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's got to be the leader that's got to be the example of this daily and be a resource. It's like a company that says, "Hey, here's our values. We operate from integrity, empathy, and trust," and yet all their communication, their behavior, their attitude, their emotions, and actions don't align with that. So when you could say something, but then everything else contradicts that. Unfortunately, that's what's happening in most organizations. This is why people just do the bare minimum, why they coast by, why absenteeism is at an all-time high, why job retention is a big problem, why the younger generations like millennials millennials and Gen Z are not sticking around. So these are the things that organizations got to take seriously. You got to stop putting band-aids on things. We got to get to the root cause of these things. And I think it's just a reason why a lot of companies don't want to venture down this path is because of the lack of awareness, or they might be afraid to see, that I got to change myself. And the thing is that you can't control change in situations or other people. It's impossible. But if you could focus on changing yourself, that's a different story. And that's all you're responsible for. Even as a leader, you're only responsible for changing yourself, learning to control what you can. Let your example of resourcefulness do the rest. That's why, again, managing people or forcing people to do things that you want them to do it's useless. Just think about it. People have been trying to do it for centuries, and they keep hitting the brick wall, and yet they keep coming back and keep doing it over and over and over again. It's those organizations that finally get it from the top down, that learn to shift their way of thinking and learn how to improve their communication to be more assertive rather than passive aggressive, and really commit to it long term. This doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in a few weeks. It may not even happen in a few months. It happens over time. Numbers don't lie, though. And when you apply the KPIs on an individual, a team, and an organizational level, and you start to see improvement, well, guess what? Then things are working. So what you thought was not a good investment, in actuality, was the best investment you will ever make in your business.
I agree. And numbers actually don't lie, Chris. If you're doing the right things, if you're having the right systems, and if you're understanding emotional intelligence, numbers won't lie in your business. Your business is with scale, definitely. So yeah, we got to run again into a short break, guys. But when Chris comes back, he's going to share with you the practical EQ strategy that we can start using today, right now, at this moment. So I'll see you everyone after this good break.
As a coach or a consultant, your focus should be on transforming lives, not struggling to get clients. That's where my company Amplify Media comes in to help you not just scale your business, but to consistently give you the revenue that your business deserves. We actually build a done-for-you lead generation acquisition system that brings in clients consistently, so that you don't have to worry about where the next client is coming in. You focus on the most important thing that is scaling your business and impacting your own coaching clients. From high-impact marketing and scroll-stopping content to expert funnel creation, we take your business from point A to point B with precision. Coaches and consultants worldwide trust the company. We have over 277 plus clients, case studies all around the world, help tons and tons of businesses scale. So your next level is waiting. Let's make your brand unforgettable and visit the website today. I would love to offer you a free strategy session to share with you how we can help scale your business. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Empower Entrepreneur TV show. This is your host, Rohit Soni, and we are getting into the actionable side of EQ with Chris Salem. We have talked a lot about how to scale businesses, how to trust the employees, how to get better retention, how to have a long-term relationship with clients, how to actually help your own organization grow with EQ. But right now, we're going to dive deeper into the strategies for today, for right now with Chris. So, Chris, like we discussed before the break, if a company wanted to improve emotional intelligence across its leadership team, what is the first step you would suggest them to take?
Well, the first thing that I would do is it's gonna start with the training for themselves. The mistake that a lot of organizations do is when they want to check off a box with emotional intelligence in business or team development or leadership development is they go, well, our middle management requires that. That's the first mistake, because a lot of times if there is already some kind of level of conflict, they're already at, the people are saying, well, why isn't upper management or the C-suite going through this? And so right there's no trust. There's no respect. So obviously the chances of that sticking are going to be slim to none. It's like throwing your money away, because some people might get some value out of it individually, but if it's going to stick, there's got to be a commitment from the top down. So it's got to start with the CEO, the upper management, to let people know that they are committed to this process. I've done this with a commercial construction company of 600 people 2 years ago, where the CEO bought in from the top down, and they saw significant increases over a 2-year period in the problem areas that were going south for them at the time. They saw a dramatic improvement and it all came down to people, not just the systems and processes, but knowing how to leverage that. So it's got to start with the training at the top down and then layering down. And then from there, working in small groups of 8 people or less over a certain period of time. So you have to layer this in over time. I'm doing this right now with another organization that I've been doing for the last 6 years. And we've been doing this with their middle management. We started with their top management, and now we're layering this down to their middle management. And what's great is a lot of even the middle managers that I went through this training over time 4, 5, 6 years ago are now in upper level positions now. So it's stuck, and they continue to be an example and a resource for the new people, the new managers coming up. And then as they go through the training, and they've seen significant increases along different KPIs that they knew they had to improve upon. And it's also enhanced their customer relations in terms of creating better experiences. Got to start with the individual first, those important leaders in the organization to filter down.
And it's all about stepping up when the time is right. It's all about stepping up when your team needs it, when your organization needs it. And for someone, Chris, who's listening right now, who wants to develop their EQ, one daily habit that you'll tell them to implement right away.
Yeah, I was going to say you got to start where you're at. Don't get tied to the expectation, to the outcome. Just see this as a process. Start with where you are. Just again, learn, there's going to be different ways to develop your EQ. For me, it was through a series of emotional, getting to the root cause of my self-limiting beliefs with emotion, validation, getting rid of that need for validation. I then adopted a daily habit of getting up at a certain time, meditating, journaling, working out, reading a chapter to a book, developing my clarity and focus, learning each day how to operate in the moment from intentions, and removing myself from operating in the past and the future from fear, because that's where I lived my life. This is why I reacted, why I deflected. I was constantly in a fight or flight state and consistently operating from stress. So my daily habits help me to keep me in the moment, intentional, and help to keep my stress levels at a moderate level. So therefore, I'm able to now have more clarity to now really listen in between the lines. So when somebody says something, I don't take their words verbatim. I look at their eyes. I look at their body language. The body and the eyes never lie. People can say words, but the body and the eyes will contradict what is said. So when we have this ability now to really connect deeper, because that's what it's all about, connection. It's not about just communication, words being exchanged. It's about understanding, connection. That's the difference in building a winning team. And those are and again, I'm a big sports fan, and that's why a lot of teams that win, the Super Bowl, win World Series, it's not necessarily they have the best talent or the most skilled players. It's those individuals that are communicating at a higher level, understand their rolling duties, know how to engage each other. That is what's going to sustain and win more outcomes in the moment from the process than just the skill and talent.
And Chris, for someone who is looking to start out and or any organization, how would they contact you and how would you help them? If you can just share about your work, your journey, because again, you have given us immense value during this whole episode. I want you to take 2 minutes of your time now just to share with us how they can contact you, how you usually help them. Okay. So they know about you, right? More.
Great. Thank you, Rory. Appreciate it. So the best place you could reach out, let's connect on LinkedIn. I'm at Christopher Salem. I love to get to know people. If you'd like to do a little due diligence, I have two websites. I have sustainablesuccess.net. That is my business website. You can find out about different things that we do to help different people. But it's first about understanding your challenges. See, I don't want people to know what I do or how I can help them until I can first identify what is their challenge that can be better. What are the results they seek and don't have? And when we can do that, then what I can do to help you will make more sense. So check that out. ChristopherSalem.com is more of my speaker, executive coach, and more on the emotional intelligence side of the business. You can see that at my website, ChristopherSalem.com. So there's two websites there. But again, LinkedIn is a great way to connect with me. And for me, the way I go about doing things, I want to build rapport and trust. I want to make sure that I want to work with you just like you want to work with me. I want to get a better understanding what is important to you. What is that challenge that could be better for you personally, on your team, in your organization, for your customers? What are the results you seek and don't have? If we don't firmly get to that, and that would only be after we build rapport and trust, it's only then we can decide if we can work together and have synergy to work together to help you reach those goals, objectives going forward. So I'm all about looking at relationships as a process. I'm not looking to jump into bed with anybody right away or to sell you a product or service. I'm looking to build that connection to see where it goes from there. And it's got to be mutual if it's going to work for you to have that success.
So, guys, I'm going to drop all the details down after the show just so that you can directly connect with Christopher, all his links to connect with his website as well. So, yeah, you don't have to wait. And Chris, it has been an absolute pleasure, my friend, to have you on my show today. I know we've been working together for a long time, but I just love these strategies that you shared today. And for everyone who just watched the show, like I usually say in all my shows, make notes, learn from it, take action. If you're just listening, you're not taking action, it's not going to work out. Ask questions, ask the right questions. So, Chris, thanks a lot to be on the show today. I appreciate it. Yeah. So this is it for the Empower Entrepreneur TV show. It has been an absolute pleasure to have Chris on the show today. His insights and emotional intelligence and leadership stuff that he shared are absolutely game changing. And the big thing, guys, at the end of the day, it's all about understanding human behavior. If you understand human behavior, if you understand how to lead organization, if you understand how to actually lead from a level where you can elevate us to the top, that's what everyone's looking for. That's what everyone, organization as well, is looking for. So if you're on the Empower Entrepreneur TV show, let's empower yourself today to be that leader. Let's empower yourself today to be that business owner. Let's empower today to be that CEO who helps, elevates their team to the next level, just like Chris does for his clients. So thanks everyone for watching the show. If you think this show helped you in some way or shape or form, comment below, like, subscribe, and share with a CEO, a business owner, or a team person to help them create a winning team. I'll see you in my next episode. It has been a pleasure. Thanks everyone for joining in another episode of the Empower Entrepreneur TV show. Success isn't for the chosen few. It's for those who choose to show up, take action, and never back down. This is the Empower Entrepreneur, hosted by Rohit Soni, airing across 185 countries, 26 plus TV networks, and 100 plus podcast stations. You've heard the strategies, you've seen the mindset. Now it's time to execute. I'll see you next week, every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific and 8 p.m. Eastern. Go, build, dominate. Until next time, stay empowered.